Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Wednesday, May 14th, the epicenter of another very busy broadcast week. And we have a lot to get to today on the show. It's actually an extra special show. We are going to meet a very special person. You guys know that our producer, Aynaz Anni Cyrus, has come in and saved the Shannon Joy Show from certain death. We all remember back in the days when I was self-producing my show and all of the shumbles and the problems with production that I had. You guys loved it because you like to make fun of me when I would make big mistakes, turn off my mic, forget to turn it back on, go to the wrong video, end my stream by accident in the middle of the stream. Like, you were all there with me for all of those shenanigans. And while it was fun, we had to become a big girl show. We got the big girl studio and we need the big girl producer. And so thankful for Aynaz Anni Cyrus, who is not only the producer of the Shannon Joy Show, but also a podcaster, broadcaster in her own right, a commentator about a whole host of issues, but namely what is going down in the Middle East and in her home state of Iran. But a very valuable and just amazing addition to the Shannon Joy Show. So I thought we would introduce you all to Annie today, learn about her story, and also look at her piece, an amazing piece. And this is a topic that I haven't delved into, quite frankly, because I have had a hard time finding good sources and sources that I trust. Well, I trust Aynaz Anni Cyrus, and I want to know what she thinks about what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in Iran, what's going on with the terrible situation in Gaza. She speaks the language that is her heritage country, and she's had an extraordinary story to tell. We're also going to look at her piece, The Gulf of Betrayal, her most recent Substack. Trump flirts with erasing Persia. It's not just a name, she writes, it's a 2,500-year legacy. In just a moment, we're going to bring in the amazing producer of the Shannon Joy Show, Aynaz Anni Cyrus, to hear her story and also hear her thoughts about what is going on in the Middle East and the excursions of the United States into the Middle East in current time. But first, I want to just give a huge shout out to our sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. Colonial Metals Group. I am, of course, continuing to be very bullish on gold and silver. One of my favorite Substacks is Jesse Colombo. And linked in the show notes of today's Shannon Joy Show, we do have a piece that he wrote a few weeks back, but it's very good, very relevant, and part of a larger series that he is writing called A Deep Dive into the Long-Term Bullish Case for Gold. Of course, we are so thankful for our sponsors, Colonial Metals Group. It is the company that I use for all my gold and silver purchases, and I trust them. You guys can trust them as well. But this is what he writes. The title of this piece is A Deep Dive into the Long Term. Now, I know yesterday, just recently, the stock market has surged upon optimism that Trump is negotiating great tariff deals, which are actually taxes imposed on the American people. So there is a sugar high happening in the stock market, but that does not erase the fundamentals of what is happening within our economy. And this is why there is a very solid long-term case for gold. He writes this. There are numerous factors that influence the price of gold. But the most important one, the core reason to remain long-term bullish on gold and silver is that the world's major currencies, from the US dollar to the euro to the Japanese yen, are backed by nothing. And it doesn't matter what happens with tariffs, what happens with the fiscal policy of the US, that is not going to change. Our currencies are backed by nothing. They're essentially, he writes, just paper, easily created in unlimited quantities by governments and central banks to serve their own agendas, line their own pockets, and consolidate and solidify their own power. And serving their own agendas, writes Jesse Colombo, is what they do best. Whether it's funding deficits, the welfare state, bailouts, pet projects, corporations, public private partnerships, in the end, it's everyday workers and savers who bear this cost as their hard earned savings steadily lose purchasing power year after year after year. And this is only accelerating. Unfortunately, writes Jesse Colombo, the bubble, which is a great Substack. It's one of my favorites. Unfortunately, this won't stop, not as long as paper currencies and central banks define our monetary system. That's why it's imperative to always own gold. It's the ultimate defense against currency debasement. So not just gold, silver as well. He's very bullish on silver. Great series of pieces and videos on silver by Jesse Colombo. He's linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. But it's not just gold and silver physically. It's also backing up your retirement, your savings, your lifelong savings. Things are moving very rapidly, very quickly. Gold is becoming a tier one asset. The people who have gold and back up their assets or their savings with gold are the people who are going to be positioned to weather the incoming economic tsunami. And this is why you have to get your plan together. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. I trust them. This is an amazing company right here in the US. I know their primaries and their owners. You've met them here on the show. They will meet you where you are. No pressure sales, no manipulative sales or fear-based selling. They're just going to give you the nuts and bolts, what you need to know about not only purchasing physical gold or silver, but also transferring a portion or all of your hard-earned savings, 401k or IRA, into gold-backed plans. All right. Now is the time to do it. It is never, ever, ever too late. In fact, right now, gold and silver are kind of at a bargain because of the euphoria, the sugar high over Trump's tariff negotiations. So this is a great time. colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy, colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy. Also, I want to remind you guys that this Sunday, we're going to bring Annie in just a moment to talk to her, hear her story, and talk about what's going down in the Middle East. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I cannot wait. This Sunday, Pittsford Community Church on Marsh Road in Pittsford, we have the Catherine Austin Fitz. I call her Catherine the Great. So much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much experience, so much truth. If you saw her on Tucker Carlson, you saw her on Jimmy Dore, man, she is one of the most fierce truth tellers out there. Her experience in the monetary markets and the fiscal area. She is an investment banker. She worked for the former Bush administration, told way too much truth about the fraud that was being committed within the U.S. government, and that has now dedicated her life to writing and publishing the Solari Report, which is helping so many Americans understand how rich people get rich, how the rich people do it. That's the secret. There is a way to build generational wealth. That's what she's all about with Solari. And she's going to be right here in Pittsford, New York, neighboring town to where I live, at Pittsford Community Church on Sunday, the 18th from 6 to 9:30 p.m. Don't miss it. There's going to be, I sent out an e-blast and we'll put up a poster as well. If you have questions, just email me, theshannonjoyshow@gmail.com, theshannonjoyshow@gmail.com. $10 at the door, straight up cash. We're not doing any kind of sign up thing because we love privacy and we like cash. So it's $10 at the door. That is just to pay for Catherine's travel expenses. Everything else will be gifted back in a love offering to the folks at Pittsford Community Church. I cannot wait to see all of you. Mark your calendars. It is this Sunday, and you can meet me and also the great Catherine Austin Fitz. Also, tomorrow, we're live with Jeff Dornick in the Joy Virtual Studio. And I want to remind you guys of a big election, another neighboring town, Penfield, New York. Sarah Pace and her running mate are running for school board. They're actually closing in on the crazy leftist Democrats who are putting pornography in the Penfield School Library. It's why this mom decided to stand up, speak out, and run for school board. You're going to meet Sarah and her running mate on Friday here in the Shannon Joy Show. And if you live in Penfield or in the Rochester area, make sure you remind people to get out and vote next Monday in the Penfield School Board election. I have devoted some of my time and energy to helping Sarah achieve this amazing goal. And we just need good moms who care about kids and who want to get pornography out of the library in the school system. It's a noble cause. It's absolutely crazy that this is what we need to do these days in the United States of America to end the insanity. But God bless her and her efforts. And you're going to meet her on Freestyle Friday here in the Joy Virtual Studio. So I think I hit everything. We welcomed our sponsors. We told you about all of the events coming up. And now, without further ado, the point of today's show, the star of today's show, she is our friend and producer, the amazing Aynaz Anni Cyrus, who everyone loves so much. Annie, everyone loves you so much. I mean, on the live chat, they are so thankful that you have rescued me from self-production because it was bad. And you know it was bad.
Are you sure they're happy? Because they enjoyed your coming back from ad, being muted. They couldn't hear you. And you're like, oh, I know they missed that part. Maybe I should start muting you before I bring you back on.
Right. Just for old time's sake. Right. Oh my gosh. They called them, they termed it shumble. So a shumble was when Shannon would stumble on Rumble. And so when I would forget, I mean, there were so many problems. It was to the point, there was one show where everything went so wrong that I just went and found a box of wine and just like plopped it down on the desk. I'm like, we're just drinking wine at this point. Cause it was crazy, but we did that to maintain our independence, and it allowed me to continue to grow the show and to still be myself. And that's one of the areas where, if you don't have the right producer, or a producer that has another agenda, you can stop being, they will move you to stop being yourself, right? Well, we want you to have this host or that host or this story, or can you be more controversial? Can you do all these things? And then it gets complicated. And I was sensing that was happening with my old producers, and, had to go freestyle for a while, but it led me to you. And we're so thankful to have you making things just go so smoothly every day in the show. So we appreciate you, girl.
Thank you. And I appreciate you and your audience and their commitment.
Yeah.
Yes, having a right producer always helps, but having the committed audience who don't drop you because they disagree or pick you back up, the wave that you go through with people. So yeah. I've looked at your chat pretty much since day one, and I can tell you have a good lineup of committed, loyal audience, and they're always kind to me as well. I know it's been a while since I chatted with them on the chat, but they're good people.
Oh, absolutely. Amazing people. And, independent, outside of the two-party political spectrum, right? Open to people with different ideas, open to discourse that is respectful and passionate, right? But you're correct. They don't drop me if they don't agree with me. I don't drop them if they disagree with me. It's the way that discourse, I think, should be in this country. And we've just gotten so far from that. But this audience has saved me so many times from, the first rug pull I ever experienced in the first, 3 years of the show, when I got thrown off of that radio station, the double wide trailer in a cornfield, a teeny tiny little station, for not being Trumpy enough. I kid you not. The owner of the station could not stand that I would critique the president from a conservative constitutional point of view. And it just drove him crazy to the point where he threw me off the air. And I had nowhere to go. I had a show, an audience, and like 12 advertisers and nowhere to put it. And so I broadcasted from Facebook for a full month, 30 days, Annie, before I moved to a 50,000 watt blowtorch. So we upgraded. It was a miracle. But the real miracle was my audience. They crowdfunded and raised like just enough money to float me, because I went from like a full salary to $0 in literally
Mhm.
one day. Talk about a rug pulls during Christmas. I cried every day for 30 days. It was awful. It was terrible. But the audience picked me up. They supported the show and just poured out donations. And it was like the exact amount of money that we needed to float for 1 month. And that's why I'm so cautious now, really. That's why I build platforms everywhere, because the stuff that we're saying, we're outside of the two-party political system. That makes it controversial in and of itself, you know?
I want to say I don't think I have ever abandoned my own platform when offered by other networks or stations. I'm like, yeah, sure. I share my show with you, but you're not going to have it.
That's
Because I
right.
know how this, and remember, I have the behind the scene experience of it as much as in front of camera. And it does happen. Um, they love you, they don't love you, and then they love you again, and then they don't love you. It's just like, it's a roller coaster. I don't do
Yes,
that.
it is.
So I'm glad you decided to do your own platforms. And yes, once a week, me and you, we kind of do the brainstorm of where to go next, which
Yeah.
platform to emphasize on. But generally, I don't even think I like when I do my show on my lower third, what you see is a free thinker. It's not even about the parties anymore. It's like we
Yeah.
don't have enough people who have the self-respect and self-accountability to think for themselves. They rather follow a party or a host or a broadcaster or a journalist, so when things go south, they can point their finger at them. I didn't make that decision. I didn't think that way. I think that's what our society suffers from, and it doesn't just apply to America, it's everywhere. Every
Right.
society, the entire human society suffers from tell me what to do, tell me what to think, tell me how to do it. So when it goes south, I don't have to feel bad about what I did or what I thought. I can just
Right.
blame somebody else.
Right.
I take full responsibility for everything I have done in my adult life from age 18 to today. Whatever I've done, good or bad, good results, bad results, it's on me. But at the same time, I enjoy waking up every morning and digging into the news and making my own decision about it. It's kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Absolutely. Well, and that's something that this audience doesn't know about you. You are indeed the producer of the Shannon Joy Show. You also produce other shows and you produce yourself. You have things to say, you have positions. And I want to explore that today. I want to explore some of your positions, namely on what is going on in the Middle East. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But can you please tell the audience about the other things that you do, the scope of the work that you do? You're also an artist, and let's also like get into your backstory, because a lot of the Shannon Joy show audience today has not, they haven't heard your story, and your story is extraordinary. Your bravery, what you went through as a young girl escaping Iran under Sharia law, smuggled out by your grandmother, coming to the United States of America at 18 years old, all by yourself, not speaking the language. Just, I mean, extraordinary. So we're going to go, I would like to go through your story, but what are you doing now besides the Shannon Joy Show? Tell everyone about what it is that makes up your network and maybe some of the other shows that you produce as well, because there are a lot of shows out there that people love. They might not know that you're behind the scenes making things happen for them.
Sure. So the longest project I have worked as a producer. Wait, I need to say something. For anyone out there watching us right now thinking, what kind of producer would look so orange? I'm not related to Trump. I'm redoing my studio, so my lighting is off. Just bear with the orange woman today instead of the
I was
orange
actually
man.
liking your lighting. I'm looking at your lighting. I'm like, she looks really good. And then I'm looking at mine. I'm like, I look kind of pale today. You need to put on some lipstick or something. So don't worry about that at all. I think you look gorgeous.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I'm not that producer who doesn't take care of her own lighting. I'm just in process of
Right.
redoing the studio.
No
The
problem.
longest a project I have worked as a producer is the Glazov Gang, hosted by Dr. Jamie Glazov. It has started as a project of David Horowitz's Freedom Center Front Page Magazine, which I should say this while we're at the topic. For your audience who might have known of David Horowitz or his activities, great man, has done a lot for our country. And unfortunately, we lost him a week ago. He passed
Mm,
away.
I saw
His
that.
legacy will continue, especially through Front Page Mag. So I'm going to just give a plug. Follow frontpagemag.com. They have variety of amazing writers there, and there are conservative a Christian leaning more towards right, but they really do factual research there.
Love
Um,
that.
so that's my oldest 13 years of producing of that show. We're still going strong. It is just like yours, 100% fan generated program. Our
Love it.
audience literally take care of all the cost of production for us to keep going. And
Wow.
I'm definitely looking forward to another 13 years of the Glass Off Gang. That's a fun project.
That's cool.
My own program, which is Live Up to Freedom. I don't necessarily have a schedule because I'm too busy. I just get on air when I can. But whatever I do is available on liveuptofreedom.com. And then I also produce a show called Mission for Freedom, hosted by Miriam Shaw. It is more of a biblical point of view.
Mhm.
It is a still politics. We do discuss politics there, but it's more of using the biblical verses to connect to what's happening today and how, as Christians and followers of Christ, we should react to what is in front of us. So that is another project that I'm actively behind. Rest of the shows, I'm sometimes there, sometimes not there, but I do kind of coordinate within 7 shows that are streaming on xamericanews.com Monday through Friday.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't know how you do it all. I mean, there that's a lot. And I
Coffee
love,
helps,
and the coffee helps. I know. I
especially
know.
if it's blackout coffee. It really
No.
gets you through the day.
We love our blackout coffee here at the Shannon Joy Show. Hazelnut cream when I'm feeling mellow, and then brutal awakening when I'm pissed off, which is often. And I need that pick me up. It's blackout coffee to the rescue every single morning. I might as well do my read for them right now. Blackout coffee, right? www.blackoutcoffee or blackout dot what is it? blackoutcoffee.com/joy. Yes, 20% off. 20% off with the JOY promo code. Made in America. They love freedom, First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, all the amendments. They also love delicious, perfect coffee. It stacks up against the best. Thank you for the segue, Annie Cyrus.
You're
This is why
welcome.
she's such a good producer. It is that type of stuff that makes her the most amazing producer. But this is a great company. They are the official coffee of Rumble. And I mean, I love this coffee. My entire family loves this coffee. They have everything you need, the whole beans, the ground, the K cups, you name it, and all of the varieties that you could ever imagine. And the best part is they love this country and they brew it right here in this country as well. So blackoutcoffee.com/joy, promo code joy for 20% off. So back to our deep dive with our producer, Aynaz Anni Cyrus. Let's go into your story and how you have come. You are a sister in faith, very strong biblical faith in Christ, and that came out of an incredibly difficult childhood and background, a survival story that is unrivaled in this country. Can you tell the audience about how you came to be where you are today and do all of the amazing things that you do, but how your childhood really shaped where you are today and the positions that you hold?
Absolutely. So I was born in Islamic Republic of Iran. Some of your audience might call it Iran. I was born in 1983. Now I'm okay with being 41 years old. The reason it's important is because I actually was born after the 1979 revolution. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even born when it happened.
Right.
However, I was born into the Islamic country. Um, my father was an Islamic leader. We call him Sheikh. And my mom, by force, was a Quran teacher. She pretty much went everywhere and taught Muslim women of Iran, through Quran how to be a obeying good Muslim wife. So I was exposed to Islam very early on because I didn't have a babysitter. I would go with my mom wherever she went, to an extent that I was told by my grandma that at age 6 I had the entire Quran memorized. I don't know I
Wow.
have it memorized. I just did because I'm literally constantly going with my mom and she's repeating. So, um, and then by age 8, I was exposed to Sharia. Difference: Islam is the roots of the cult, and then Sharia, which is the system of laws and regulations is the actual tree. They're attached, but they're two different things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
At age 8, I was exposed to Sharia because I had to be prepared for my age 9, as I would be declared a full adult woman responsible for my own actions by age 9, because that's what
Mm.
Sharia dictates.
Wow.
I
Wow.
I want to make sure I wasn't the one and only. Every single girl at age 9 in Islamic society, country, and family becomes a full adult woman. It's a
Mm.
Sharia-based law. It's not just
At
me.
9 years old.
9 years old, you are
9 years.
declared. Yes. And when I say you're responsible for your actions, I should say you also face consequences for your actions. Like as starting age 9, if you don't wear the proper hijab, you face the same punishment a 30-year-old woman would face.
Unbelievable.
If you break any Sharia rules, um, anything against the country's penal code, which is Sharia based, any of that, you're you're gonna face the same punishment. Technically, and this is very easy to confirm, by the ways. I will everything we talk about today. Please don't take my word for it. Go research your own research, and you'll find them because I try to keep things simple enough for everybody to even Google can answer the question,
Mm-hmm.
or ChatGPT for that matter, the new Google. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there is no such a place in Iran or Saudi Arabia or Kuwait or Qatar or Iraq or Afghanistan or any of these Islamic countries. There is no such a thing as juvie. There
Mm.
isn't. Under age of 9 for girls, pretty much what are you going to do? Nothing. And if
Right.
something you do, your parents will be responsible for what you did. After 9, if you're arrested or you did something, you're sent to adult prisons and detention centers. For boys, the age is 14.
Unbelievable.
There is no
Unbelievable.
juvie.
And you had, I mean, you found yourself on the wrong side of Sharia law at a young age, and it was one of your early experiences, right?
The very wrong side. Yes, I was.
Rebellious. She was rebellious from day one, but it was not. You can laugh about it now, but horrifying for a small child.
It was not funny back then, no.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. At that point, at that the very first time I ever got in trouble, I wasn't even 9 yet, because as they were prepping me for the ceremony. By the way, there's this whole ceremony, like every
Yeah.
city in every state in Iran on a specific day of the year. There's a big ceremony. It's like hundreds of us wearing the same uniform, white color or pink color, depending on the school, burqa. Not hijab, the burqa. For
Burqa.
those who may not know what a burqa is, it's literally, I'm not even being funny, trash bag, hole in your face, 2 holes for your hands to come out. That's burqa.
Unbelievable. And you were forced into the burqa
Yeah.
ceremoniously as a part of Sharia law when you're 9 years old.
Hmm. Oh,
Can you
yeah.
imagine? I can't imagine.
Oh, no,
I
we
can.
showed up at the party, literally, celebration. And, my classmates, our whole school, the entire district, everybody shows up we're all 9 years old. Parents are showing up, and moms, there are other things like, cookies and milk, but there's a imam on the stage, and he starts the ceremony, and he just goes on with reading the Quran, talking about Muhammad, talking about Aisha, Muhammad's wife, that he
Mm,
married when she was 6 and consummated the marriage when he was 9, to tell us why we're becoming adult women. Like, imagine you're 9 years old, you're sitting there sweating in this heavy cotton white burqa, and they just tell you, okay, so you're a woman because Muhammad did such and such. And you're like, whoa, what does
wow.
consummating marriage even means?
Yeah.
That was
So
my first question.
institutionalized pedophilia. Like
Pretty much.
institutionalized pedophilia.
Yes.
It normalized, institutionalized, and underscored by religious texts of the Quran and the
Yes.
leader Muhammad.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
again, just go anywhere you want and say Islamic Republic of Iran's constitutional article on age of marriage. You'll see that the age of marriage for girls is 9. However, if the male guardian agrees under age of 9, she can be married off. However, the marriage cannot be consummated until she's 9. It is written in their document.
Insane. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, to continue your story, you are forced into the burqa at 9 years old, ceremony prepared, and you actually found yourself in trouble. I mean, you violated the law, and there were grave consequences for that.
Yes,
Shortly.
and like it wasn't I wasn't even trying to rebel against what I'm supposed to do. It was just naturally I would do it wrong.
Hmm.
Which later in life, I want your audience to know so they don't worry about me. Later in life, I realized it's great because that shows that I was a healthy and a happy kid.
Yeah.
Because everything I did that seemed like I'm going against my father or his honor or country's laws, it was just me being a healthy and happy kid. And then later on, a healthy and happy teenager. Like I
Mhm.
loved to sing. I still love to sing, but then got out of control. I'm singing with a friend of mine on our way back to school on the street, and our voices heard. Immediately arrested,
Oh my word.
immediately facing consequences because a woman's voice shall not be heard by those who are not allowed to hear her voice, right? And we're like 11 years old, by the way. Is what woman?
Oh my
Like
word.
I wasn't even trained enough to get the notes right. Like I probably was screaming and nobody was being provoked with my voice by my voice, but that's how the rules go. You
Mm.
know, you can't have makeup on. I mean, do I need to explain my problem there? Like you can't
Your
have nail
choices.
polish on. You can't have your nails long.
Oh my
But the
word.
reason, by the way, is for the nail part is you have to do 5 times a day. You have to do a prayer wash up before you do your Islamic prayer. Anything blocking the water to touch your bare skin will break the wash up. So if you
Mm.
have nail polish on, they will immediately accuse you of not doing your prayer, which is punishable.
Wow.
Like look
Wow.
how much they stretch everything.
But this is insane. Like you were arrested at 11 years old for singing.
Yes, publicly.
And and then what happened? Like the, what happens after that? I mean, did they punish you? Did your parents come and bail you out? I mean, how does that work in the People's Republic of Iran under Sharia law?
So first, you're taken into detention center,
Okay.
local wherever you're at, and then they will contact your parents. Your parents will come, and they can bring their birth. By the way, there is no bail for morality police. You leave your birth certificate behind to take your kid until court date. That's the
Unbelievable.
only thing you're allowed to. Now, in my case, if my father was around, there was no bailing me out. I stayed at detention center until court date because that was his punishment for me. If he wasn't around, my grandma would show up with her birth certificate and bail me until court date. She would take me to court. And for the singing part, thankfully, I didn't receive any lashes. I got 72 hours jail time, and I had to sign a what do you call it in English? Kind of a letter promising I'll never do this again, or next time I will face
Wow.
harsher punishment.
Unbelievable.
For the singing, I kind of got away with it. Just
But
72
you got
hours in
you got I
prison.
mean, that
So
wasn't how many times were you arrested multiple times as a child? Or
I don't, I'll say bare minimum dozen.
no. No.
I've been arrested for my hair showing from the back of my hijab. I have very long hair. I still have long hair, but when you're wearing the hijab, sometimes this loosen up, you don't know, it just drops, and it's genuinely that was my case. I wasn't trying to show off my hair, and I
It just
didn't know until I felt a pull, and then I heard Caesars. It was the female morality police who grabbed me from back with my hair and just cut it right there.
oh my word. Oh my
Yes.
word. And the treatment in the prisons was not always good. You suffered abuse in the prison.
Well, I would say I did. I had two very for a teenager, a very traumatizing events happening once at a detention center where I was being held with about probably 10 other people. One of the women there who was awaiting court or transfer to court, she was there accused of adultery. and she kind of knew her punishment's going to be stoning to death. So she actually tried to kill herself at a time. So we all had to witness her dragged out of the room, bloody, wrist caught,
Oh,
half passed out. Um,
oh,
and I have no idea what happened to her. I really
mm,
don't. I don't know if she successfully ended her life that moment or she was stoned later. I have no idea. But that was one of the me personally, I wasn't necessarily abused in prison or detention centers. There were short period of times, but I did witness other
mm,
scenes like that.
yeah.
Now you could say the judgments, like for example, the first time I was sentenced to lashes, I was sentenced to 75 lashes. My grandmother purchased 50 of them. I had to serve 25.
Oh,
That was definitely not pleasant. I can tell you that. It
oh,
was not pleasant.
that would be abuse. That would be abuse. I mean,
That would be something that here in Western countries or as Christians, we would never allow anyone. I hope we would never allow anyone, you know, um, get our teenage daughter on a metal type of bed with just a sheet on it, and she's naked, and just lash her from back of her neck to bottom of her leg. I don't think we would be okay with that. We wouldn't let
no,
that. Hopefully, we wouldn't let that happen.
no.
But that's how it goes.
And so this was your childhood. This was your introduction into womanhood at the age of 9. Um, it culminated in your being sold into marriage, as you refer to it. Your father sold you into marriage, and things only got worse. Can you tell the audience about that part? And I hope this isn't traumatizing for you. I just want them to understand. I guess I want them to fully understand when we talk about Sharia, when we talk about, you know, its growth and expansion, not just in the Middle East, but now in places like London and Great Britain, and even here in the United States of America in certain conclaves. People have to understand it is a system of government. It is an ideology. It has something to do with the religion. There are, religious aspects to it, but even more so, it is a cult. It is an ideology. It is a form of brutal fascism and theocracy. And but so I appreciate you. I know this is probably hard, and I appreciate you telling the story because it's important.
Yes, and I appreciate you acknowledging that. I always thought I was told that when you go over it after almost 10 years, it becomes easier. That's a lie. That's a myth. It doesn't
Mm,
become easier. But I will say that since I've been saved
mm,
by our Lord and Savior, it has definitely become less uh, rattling.
yep. Yeah.
Because as much as I remember and I feel some of the pain physically, at the same time, I know that he's the one who got me through it and he's going to
Mm,
continue getting me through whatever is coming tomorrow. So I do want to put this out there. But yes, at some point I was too much of a trouble. And mind you, being an Islamic leader, being a sheikh, it's very different for my father, not excusing his behavior whatsoever. But it becomes faster for him. It becomes faster of I got to answer for what she's doing. She's
mm,
ruining my reputation. People aren't going to listen to me anymore because my own daughter is, kind of sort of becoming this uh, bad girl was the term
mm,
that was used towards me. So he went ahead and, with authority given to him by Sharia and the country, married me off to someone who was willing to pay the fair price that he thought is my worth. And again, that's within Sharia, you have to pay the right amount picked by the male guardian in order to receive the woman as your wife.
mm.
That's because she's a property. So
Property.
he made the deal and money and everything else was exchanged and I pretty much became that guy's wife. At this point I was 13. I've been told I was 13, but shortly after I was 14 because that makes a huge difference, right, Shannon? A
No,
huge
not at all.
difference, like
No,
between being 13 or 14
no.
and you have this guy, and I'm not going to go as far as saying he was a devout Muslim, not as much as my father was. However, he was a man in an Islamic country with all the authority given to him, so he wasn't shy. He never shied away from beating me for any excuse he felt like I deserved a beating. And I mean, I don't think I need to get into the details and the specification of how it feels at that age that you're already forced into somebody's arms that you don't know who they are. You don't even have the comprehension of what this whole scenario that is happening to you, as far
Oh,
as, consummating the marriage and then being a wife who's gonna um, satisfy that part of your wife duties. That part is, I'm pretty sure
horrifying,
anybody watching this can just put two and two together.
horrifying, horrifying, horrifying. Annie, just terrible. And so you are sold into marriage at 13 years old. Marriage is consummated. You are regularly beaten and raped by an adult male. And outside of your father's household, it was your grandmother that rescued you. That in again, your grandmother had lived in Iran prior to the revolution. She remembered, I mean, the drastic change, right? It was a free country. There were universities open to women. Women had jobs and careers, and it was as if the door slammed shut after that revolution, and everything closed in. And so your grandmother, living through all of these things, sees that you need to be saved. Can you tell us a little bit about how that happened, how you came to the U.S.? And we'll get into your piece and your position on the Middle East in the next segment. But I would like to, because it is an amazing story of survival and love and hope, and this grandmother who basically risks everything to save her granddaughter and gift us with Aynaz Anni Cyrus here in the United States of America. But what happened then? How did you escape?
So yes, my grandma, who I don't think I still have met anyone as wise as she was. Um, she watched it happen. She tried a few times to convince the father to get me a divorce, convince the man to return me. She even offered to pay them back and take me back. Let's see. Your property, anybody who can purchase you back, it's
Unbelievable.
I know I
Insane.
laugh. I laugh because if I don't laugh, then other things happen. But
Right, right.
genuinely, I remember once, even though she was doing me a favor, she was trying to rescue me. I actually told her, I said, when you're talking to him being the guy who purchased me, I'm like, when you're talking to him and doing this whole negotiation, I feel like I'm a cow. And you guys are measuring like how much meat I have on me, on how old I am, how much milk I can give you. And they're like, stop
Yeah,
it.
it's
And again, this was coming from genuinely love, but just the conversation in front of me. At some point, I was tired of it. I was tired of being this piece of meat that everybody's putting a price on, and who can afford how much to take her, even for her own safety. And I want to be very clear. I've been one of the lucky ones in Islamic countries. I was blessed for whatever reason. Lord had plans for me, but I want to be very clear that documentations are again out there, reported by Islamic Republic of Iran registry itself. Between 2017 and 2021, there has been 2.3 million child brides produced. I just want to say, again, I'm not the only one. I wasn't the only one. That wasn't 30 years ago, so not happening again. It is happening every single day, not just in Iran, Afghanistan. Listen, we had child brides coming into America, into Wisconsin military bases after the disaster withdrawal we did from Afghanistan. So please stay with it. It's a current situation. My story might be old and it's going to keep getting older, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. It is
no,
continuously happening every single day. There is a little girl of age 9 to 15 that is being handed over to a man who can afford her. And I'm going to say this so people get a gesture of, when I say afford her, it's not like they're buying a Lamborghini, okay? My price was 220s and a 10 in a dollar format, and a month of opium for my father.
unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable.
So it's not like the father sitting there putting high price on the daughter. No, or the brother or the grandfather, anybody who's the male guardian. When she becomes a mouth to feed or a troublemaker, whatever you got is enough for them. they will hand you over.
It's terrible. And this is one of the reasons, I mean, you are a voice with me, the horrifying case of the Tate brothers, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate,
Hmm.
what they have done in Romania, in the UK, in the United States of America, them being brought back to the United States of America by a US diplomat under the Trump administration, enjoying almost diplomatic cover. I mean, the core issue is the normalization of child sex trafficking,
Hmm.
right? As they normalize, and again, the Tates, professing Muslims, they beat their property. I mean, they're very open about this. I mean, it's so if, again, to your point, if people think this is in the past, in history, that there isn't a threat here in the US for the expansion of this, even by the powers that be, then you're not paying attention. This is always a threat. And anything they can do to normalize this, and that's the difference. In Iran, they somehow figured out how to normalize it, how to make it a moral and virtuous and religious for grown men to rape young girls on a regular basis and sell them like cattle. Like, that is always going to be there. And if they can expand that in the United States of America using psychological operations and front people like the Tate brothers being normalized by WWE or any of the platforms that they enjoy, on promoted by Elon Musk, promoted by Trump Jr. and the Trump administration, like, that's a threat to women. And that's why I have been so loud on the Tates, and you have been as well.
Yes, and if you don't mind me doing a shameless plug here,
Yeah.
if your audience would go to my Substack, we're going to address one of the most recent ones, but on either Monday or Sunday, I released a 22-page long Substack.
Oh my word.
And it's simply Constitution, US Constitution versus Sharia.
Mm.
It's a deep dive, but you'll see the evidence. Not me feeling how I feel about Tate Brothers. No, I have broken down our amendments, the articles, and I have shown you the contradiction it poses to
Yeah.
Sharia through these three books I hold on my desk all day long: Quran, Hadith, Reliance of the Traveler, which is the sacred laws of Islam. I have
Mm.
literally put samples and verse numbers and article numbers in there on all aspects, including the treatment of women in America versus under Sharia. And then I have given samples of how it has already happened in US. So
Yes.
I strongly suggest, if your audience are interested in really understanding where we're going, read that Substack.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we will link that in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. So that will be prominently linked. Let's talk about your emancipation and coming to the US, to kind of close your story. And then when we come back, we'll go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into Annie's positions. She has a lot to say about what's happening in Iran, US foreign policy regarding Iran, and also in the Middle East. So we're going to get to that in a moment. But can you tell us how you escaped and how you came to the US?
Sure. So my grandmother managed to hire smugglers. It's a very thing over there in Middle East. And I was smuggled out of
Thing.
Iran into Turkey,
Okay.
the border town called Van. It is not number one.
Mm-hmm.
VAN, that's how they pronounce it, Van.
Fun.
And I was literally dropped off in front of the United Nations. By the ways, back then, United Nations really did what United Nations was supposed to do. Thank the
Good.
Lord. Knocked at their door when they were not giving women's rights seat to Saudi Arabia and human rights seat to Iran. So
Mm.
I was dropped off in front of UN. Waited until they opened, walked in there with the backpack my grandma gave me, and I just handed them the backpack per my grandma's instruction. They pulled the documentation that were in there, and there was a conflict because I was basically their very first underage with no guardian kid who
Wow.
was a bride of somebody and escaped. So it took a while for them to figure out the solution, but clearly they did find the solution. I received my asylum approval from United Nations, and from there I applied for final destination being America. We were the batch that got hit by September 11, so I ended up staying in Turkey for almost 3 years. And when the gates were open, I was the second batch to come to America from Middle East through proper channels. I had my interviews. I went to embassy. I did my medical. They jabbed me up with all the required vaccines before I came in. That was there. I know you don't like that, Shannon, but at
I
that
know.
point, at that point,
Right.
I didn't care. Listen, I would take anything if that
Yeah.
meant I get my ticket to come to America. I would do it.
Right. Well,
But
people didn't know. People, they think it's healthcare. They think it's healthcare. It's,
yes.
insane.
To be fair, I will say that at that point, at least that day, I completely understood why they're requiring certain vaccines because I was coming from Iran, Middle East, these countries. Like, you don't want to know about
Yeah.
the Sharia hygiene. You
I,
don't.
mm, I don't want to know.
Exactly.
I
I've
do. I
done a
kind of do.
webinar on it.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I've done a webinar
Oh
on
my
just
gosh.
Sharia during COVID when there was a religious exemption for Muslims to leave the mosques open and do their thing. That's when I said, wait a minute, let me tell you about Sharia hygiene before we go forward giving them more exemptions.
Oh my word.
So
Oh my
I
word.
understand
Yeah.
why those coming from Middle East need a
Okay.
little bit of cleaning up, a couple of
Mhm.
vaccines because
Yeah.
they do, including
Yeah.
myself. I could have bring something. I don't know what, but I
Oh
could
yeah.
have.
No. I understand that.
But all that was done, and I received a package with a welcome to United States of America, I-94 visa, which is asylum visa that never expires. Um, and got on a plane from Istanbul, Turkey to Frankfurt, from Frankfurt to Miami, from Miami to Chicago between August 8th to August 9th of 2002, and I landed in Chicago on August 9th of 2002.
Wild. Unbelievable. By yourself, by the way. 18 years old at the time or
I was 18. Yes.
18 years old at the time after the entire process. And and I mean essentially taught yourself English, taught yourself everything. I mean just survived. I just can't even fathom how strong you must have been. But what a story. What a story. And this is why Annie has dedicated her life to exposing and telling the truth about Sharia through her experience, also exposing the threat of the expansion of Sharia type laws and Sharia type systems in the US and across the globe, and warning Americans that what we're learning is that our freedom is precious. Our freedom, it's delicate. It's not just going to be there for us in perpetuity. In the same way that the people of Iran experienced freedom and then immediately were thrust into darkness and tyranny and utter destitution, right? Like it can happen anywhere. It can happen here in the US. We saw it happen with COVID. We came dangerously close to the darkest. I mean, it was the darkest tyranny we have ever seen in this country. It was military martial law, and it was dystopian, and they did violate fundamental natural rights through the coercion with the shots and all of those things. But that should be a reminder to all of us that freedom is precious. It can be erased in a moment if we let it go, and that's why we raged against what happened in 2020, and that's why we rage today against what could happen again, because nothing has been fixed. No one is talking about it. The tyranny expands, the corruption expands, regardless of political party, left or right, because there will always be men and women in this world who want power, and they will do anything to get power, and they will look away from utter grotesque, horrifying abuse of children, boys and girls, and humans in order to seize that power. That's what we're experiencing today. So precious. And Annie understands that. So here she comes to the US, and then the rest is history. Builds her career, joins up with the Glazov gang and produces their show. And then miraculously comes to the Shannon Joy Show, which we are so thankful for Annie. When we come back, we're going to go to a quick break to take a look at our sponsors. Please remember the Shannon Joy Show sponsors. In order to be free and independent here in the Shannon Joy Show, I don't work for a corporation. I don't have a super PAC behind me. I don't have a politician or a billionaire benefactor with a political agenda behind me supporting this show. It is you and me. The Shannon Joy Show is sponsored. It's supported by your independent contributions at theshannonjoy.com. That's theshannonjoy.com. But mostly it's through our voluntary partnership with sponsors and advertisers. You've heard from Colonial Metals Group, our friends over at Blackout Coffee, the official coffee of Rumble, our amazing friends at the Satellite Phone Store. I'm going to talk to you guys about them when we come back to break. Tina Blanco is just an extraordinary person, an amazing businesswoman, and puts together everything that you see from the Satellite Phone Store. Also, our friends over at Native Path. I love their products. And of course, Dom Polano. He is my financial advisor and the very first Shannon Joy Show advertiser way back when, 12 years ago, when I had the idea to launch this show. And he heard my idea and said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to sponsor you and help get this thing started. Don Polano has been my financial advisor and backer of this show, sponsor of this show for 12 years. He is so trustworthy. I trust him with all of my finances, everything that I have involved in the market. And he is a great friend of the Shannon Joy Show. It's pcmpolano.com if you want to check him out, pcmpolano.com. But all of these advertisers are people I know, companies I know, products I use and trust. And when you support our sponsors and our advertisers, it helps us to keep this show going. So if you're in the market for any of their products or services, please always remember that it is such a blessing to the Shannon Joy Show. And they're also great products and services delivered to you by great people. So with that said, let's go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we will finish our discussion with the Aynaz Anni Cyrus. We're going to talk about what is happening in the Middle East, U.S. foreign policy regarding Iran, and why she wrote this piece, The Gulf of Betrayal. Trump flirts with erasing Persia. We're going to hear from Annie when we come back right here on the Shannon Joy Show.
Starbucks sucks. I like yours. Yours is smoother than that one. What's up, guys? It's Doc again with Blackout Coffee, and we are here at the Carson Coffee in Palm Beach, Florida. We are actually doing a blind taste test, so check some of this stuff out. You like this one better? This one's smoother. Yep, you picked us.
I approve of Blackout Coffee. This is
This one. You like that one?
yeah.
Okay.
It's not yours, is it? All right.
It is.
Bam!
All right.
Well, here's to Carson Coffee and the best coffee ever, right here.
It's just smoother. Picked ours.
Now, what is that then?
Lavazza?
Yeah.
This is direct from Italy.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. You guys got some good coffee
So
there.
you picked an American company over Italy.
It's good.
Here you go. You won this. Go for it.
Thanks, Sean.
Just tasted better. The other one didn't. It was like $2 better.
Blackout coffee, baby. Yeah. You chose ours over the Lavazza.
Like more refreshing compared to that. It was like drinking gasoline.
Yeah, pretty much.
I drink coffee every single day, so which is the reason I wanted to do this test. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna give it a brew when I get home.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you.
Being a veteran, I like the Blackout Coffee Company anyway.
It is the strangest thing, right? Hydration. Seems simple enough. It's basic hydration, but it is something that I haven't thought about for most of my life. And as a result, I think that I've been borderline dehydrated for most of my adult life. Now, when you're younger, your body might be better able to handle dehydration, but as you age, you notice it more and more. Your body becomes way more susceptible to dehydration, and this can result in a lot of ailments like muscle cramping, bladder problems, fatigue, and also brain fog. So about a year and a half ago, I started adding daily hydration with 2 packets of Native Path Hydrate every single day. And this became part of my morning routine. And guys, I cannot believe the difference. I can't believe that I wasn't hydrating for most of my life. It is a huge and noticeable difference. In fact, when I don't have my Native Path Hydrate in the morning, I can tell, and it's a tougher day. You need to hydrate, people, and now you can for 45% off with a sick deal from our friends over at Native Path Hydrate. Go to nativepathhydrate.com/joy. That's nativepathhydrate.com/joy to learn all about the benefits of hydration and unlock a 45% off deal that is just for the Joy audience. This is the best price point that I have seen anywhere, and this is a workhorse product. It is the best in the market for just basic hydration. I absolutely love it, and you will too. So go to nativepathhydrate.com/joy today to unlock that deal and get started on daily hydration, to get away from all the towers and get him treated. Luckily, he's working with a holistic healer and things are getting better. But I have to tell you, on some of the worst days, the only relief that he felt was with the Faraday technology from our friends and sponsors over at the Satellite Phone Store. The beanies, blankets, and bags create a barrier which shields your body from EMF exposure and gave Rich so much needed relief. Something magical happens when you drop your device into a Satellite Phone Store Faraday bag, backpack, or pouch. It protects your device from EMP attacks and surveillance, but also protects you from your device. Go to www.sat123.com/joy today to browse the entire line of Escape Zone Faraday products. And make sure you always use the promo code JOY for 10% off your entire order over at the Satellite Phone Store. It's time to start thinking about EMF exposure and protecting yourself and your family with the Faraday line of products from the Satellite Phone Store. I know it really helped Rich, and it can help you too. So go to www.sat123.com/joy today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show, and a huge thank you to our friends over at the Satellite Phone Store. There is never, ever, ever a wrong time to prepare, to think about preparation, and to put things in place for you and your family that will ensure your survival and your thriving in any type of situation. And that's really the mission of our friends over at the Satellite Phone Store. Tina Blanco is the president, CEO, founder of the Satellite Phone Store. Maybe one of the most amazing, kindest people I have ever known. I mean, she has such a heart for helping. Whenever there is a power outage or a natural disaster, Tina is there with the Satellite Phone Store, sending them whatever they need, whether it's satellite phones and free service or any of the products and services they offer over at sat123.com. I mean, generators, solar panels, Faraday bags, you name it. If it is in the vein of preparation, they have it at the Satellite Phone Store. And it's like her life's mission. It's so fun to talk to her. She gets so passionate about survival and surviving. And it's just something we know. One of the mottos here at the Shannon Joy Show is that preparation, if you are prepared, then you are much, much less likely to live in fear. And it is fear that leads to tyranny. It's when they catch you flat-footed, off guard, when you need the federal government to help you with this or help you with that. That's when they have their clutches in you. That's when they can get in and expand their power, totalitarianism, the surveillance state, you name it. We've seen this happen time and time again. So the play here as Americans is to never be afraid, and never being afraid is directly correlated with being prepared. Everything you need for preparation is at the Satellite Phone Store. Sat123.com/joy is my page. They always have specials there. There are great specials just for the Shannon Joy audience. And of course, you always get 10% off your entire order when you use the promo code JOY. So get started in preparation. Maybe that first step is a satellite phone. They have great plans for the Joy audience. One of their specials is a free phone. When you sign up for a year plan, it's $99 a month for the service, but the phone is free. And they also throw in a free bulletproof Faraday backpack. It's valued in the hundreds of dollars. It's an amazing value. This will protect all of your equipment from an EMP attack. It also erases you from the grid because it is an EMF blocker, so the government can't trace you. And of course, the bulletproof element is essential for any type of preparation and in an emergency situation. So this is a great deal that they have for the Joy audience at the satellite phone store, but you have to go to sat123.com/joy to open up that deal. It's sat123.com/joy. And again, use that promo code JOY for 10% off. So thankful for our friends over at the satellite phone store. Back to our special guest today. She is Aynaz Anni Cyrus and also the producer of the Shannon Joy Show. Unbelievable backstory, an amazing story. It is understandable why you have come to the positions that you've come to as you have grown older here in the United States of America. And not only is Annie a producer and a content creator herself, but she also has opinions about the politics of the day, and particularly the foreign policy of this administration regarding not only Iran, but what is happening in Gaza as well. And I'd love to just hear, this is the piece, The Gulf of Betrayal. Trump flirts with erasing Persia. There are betrayals you see coming, she writes, and there are ones that cut deeper because they come from someone who claimed to stand with you. She says, let this be clear. This isn't semantics. This isn't a regional naming preference. This is a deliberate, decades-long Arab campaign of conquer and erase. And Trump is hinting that he might be willing to sign off on it. And it's the renaming of the Gulf. It's unbelievable, the Persian Gulf. Annie, tell us about what's going on here and why it's so important.
Well, I should add, you're correct. I have opinions, lots of them. But since January 20th of this year, it seems like I have more of an unpopular opinion, which is okay. That's all right. Okay. I want to put something out there. I am neither pro-Trump nor anti-Trump. The name of the president makes no difference for me. It doesn't. They do good, I write about it. They do bad, I write about it. They go ugly, I write about it. So I want to be very clear. This isn't a hit piece on Trump. This is a piece that I wrote as an Iranian, as an American, and as someone who loves history. I have always been against anyone trying to erase somebody else's history. And what Trump is doing right now, and I want to be very clear, it doesn't even matter what his decision is going to end up being. It makes no difference to me. If he agrees with the Arabs and change the name to Arab Gulf, he doesn't agree with them and keep it Persian Gulf, it doesn't matter. You know why, Shannon? Because it's none of his business.
There we go. Thank you. Right?
Trump is the president of the United States of America. Nowhere mentioned on that piece, nobody, including Iranian Americans, including Iranians, including Arabs, including history, has never given the right to any president of any party in the United States of America to butt into history of Middle East or any other continent for that matter. So I was asked, what do I think of his response? Because when he was asked last week, he said, well, I'm still thinking about it. I need to have a decision by the time I arrive in Qatar, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, and he's, just to be clear, he wants to rename the Persian Gulf to the Arab Gulf.
Exactly.
Which is, I mean, you're going to tell us what's behind it. But
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. He thinks this is about our feelings? Really?
No.
No, sir, this is nothing to. Are my feeling hurts? No. What I'm feeling is disappointment, a bit of rage, because you really think you're somehow crowned as king of the world.
No.
Talk about someone, as mentioned again on that Substack. He's the one who was supposed to come and stop globalism, right? Seems like he loves to be the king of it all.
He sure does.
The moment he was asked, his response should have immediately be, none of my business, don't drag me into it, you deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
This is centuries of battle between Arabs and Persians. And we hold the upper hand because they have invaded us. This isn't me saying it. History has it all captured, even though after the first time they conquered our land, they burned all the libraries, all the books, and tried to erase the history that existed as Persia. They might have wiped Persia off the map and left a little tiny Iran out of it, but they never wiped our race off. I still have lovely, wonderful, uneducated, common core educated Americans telling me to stop saying I'm Persian. Persians don't exist anymore. What?
No.
I'm Persian by race. I'm Iranian by nationality. End of the story. American by choice. How's that for fact?
There you go. Wow.
Now, for Trump to think somehow he can get his Middle Eastern peace agreement through these favors, he has no idea that in history, his name is going to definitely go down as the man who butt into businesses that wasn't his. And again, I repeat, I don't really care what he decides. I think Friday he's announcing his decision. I don't care what his decision is. I'm not going to like him if he comes out, you deserve to keep it as Persian Gulf. It doesn't matter. He made a huge mistake. This was a huge misstep on his behalf and his administration. Whomever is advising him, they need to be fired immediately. He needs someone with a bit of a sense of history, culture, and fights between Arabs and Persians, for sure. Persian Gulf isn't just a name. Again, I don't want to give all the Substack away, so it's a long one. But Persian Gulf doesn't just stand as a gulf. It's not a name over a bunch of water. Persian Gulf literally represents what we have survived for over 2,500 years.
Right.
The invasions, the rapes by Arabs, by Muslims, by Mongolians. Every time they crossed our borders, killed our men, raped our women, mixed up our race. That's what Persian Gulf stands for. Even when Brits came to try to take us under their control, they didn't dare try to rename Persian Gulf.
Right.
Trump somehow thinks he has the right to do it. So, as I concluded on my article, I'll say it here to Trump and anybody who thinks Trump is somehow doing the right thing. Good luck. This isn't Mexican Gulf for you to rename.
Exactly. Well, and this has been a hallmark of the Trump administration, along with blatant corruption, grifting, insider trading, and pay to play. Also, the renaming of and the redrawing of borders and boundaries, the renaming of bodies of water. The Gulf of Mexico becomes the Gulf of America, and now he's trying to expand that into the Middle East, exploiting a decades-old conflict between Arabs and Persians. And so this is, it certainly obviously has a political agenda behind it. What do you think the reasoning is for Trump to even get into this fracas and get involved? I mean, it's an unforced error. It's, there's a lot of stuff going on. Why on earth would he want to elbow into the renaming of the Persian Gulf?
It all comes back to his ego.
You think?
It all comes back to his ego. Number one, right now, and the Arab countries, by the way, let's name them. He's visiting Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. Okay. All three countries behind the original 9 years ago movement of renaming Persian Gulf, just for the record. He's visiting all three countries. And all three countries' leaders requested for him to take it into consideration so when he arrives, he can make a decision, which, by the way, if I would go factual, President of the United States of America decision about Persian Gulf or any other areas in Middle East will be considered nothing. Nada.
I
because he
agree.
doesn't
Yeah.
hold that power. Okay, the pen he holds, that he has broken everybody's record on executive orders, some brilliant, some stupid, that
Mhm.
holds no power outside of US. It
Yeah.
doesn't. And watch as over 1.2 million Iranian Americans never call it Arab Gulf in America. How's that for a little bit of try?
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. What is the I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but what is the nature of the conflict between Arabs and Persians? Just for people who don't
Islam.
really, yeah, it's Islam.
It's
Okay.
Islam. So when Muhammad somehow rise in Saudi Arabia, which it wasn't called Saudi Arabia back then, but that's a different concept of history that one day I need to cover so people understand. But
Mhm.
when Muhammad started being Muhammad, Islam started spreading. He sent a messenger to the king of Persia back then, reaching out saying, "Hey, we got this really good religion. Why don't you guys convert?" At that point, majority of Iranians were Zoroastrians.
Yeah.
Um, the king sent back the messenger with his left hand that was carrying the letter chopped off. And that's where the war started. That, oh, if you're not going to nicely convert your entire empire to my new perfected religion, then I'm just going to try to conquer it piece by piece by piece by
Wow.
piece. If you look at the Persian Empire versus what's left of Iran, which was the center of Persian Empire back then, a lot of these countries that you hear about, they didn't exist. Kuwait, Qatar, Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, they were all Persian Empire. But
Wow.
Islam started conquering piece by piece. They did conquer Iran as you know it today twice, well, three times, including 1979. And every time they came in, they got to push back. But they have stripped everything I mentioned on the Substack. They changed the name of the land. They changed our language completely. At this point, 70% of what we speak, Farsi, is Arabic infiltrating the language. There are very few Iranians who still speak the Parsi language, which was the original language of Persia or people of Pars. They pretty much, taken everything. And yes, but bottom line root of this problem started with Islam. Muhammad wanting the neighbor land to be Muslims too.
Unbelievable. And this is one of the reasons that a large portion of Annie's political work and the coverage that she features is on the Islamization of countries, cultures, the United States, the UK, parts of Europe. It is a real mission, and again, it's not necessarily about religion. They use the religion um as a reason to conquer, right? So they
Mhm.
justify it by the religion in order to expand the cult. But it is something that people do not understand. Annie, with the history of the Middle East, I mean, the problems that we see today in all of these countries, the warring factions and all of the different conflicts, and even what we're seeing in Gaza today, all of it is rooted in this conquering mentality of the Muslims and the Islamization of the Middle East. It was never like that before, which I don't think people realize, and it's not good. It's not good.
Yes, ma'am. And the biggest complaint I have had for many years, and again, this isn't about Trump. I've said the same things about Biden. I've said worse things about Obama. I have said even worse things about George Bush.
Yeah.
This isn't about the individual who's making the moves today. If you look at it, I don't know, I might do this at some point soon, but you look at it, they started it, and then the next president, regardless of their party and promise and all that lies, they kept taking the next step towards transferring this Middle Eastern issue of Islamization and take it, packages, bring it to America.
Right.
Again, there is Epic City in Dallas, Texas, that I've been covering heavily for the last 2 weeks. They have 402 acres of land that they're building an epic city, also known as Sharia obeying Muslim community city in Dallas, Texas.
Oh my word. Oh my word.
402 acres of land. It's going to have schools, hospitals, mosques, housing. exclusively for Muslims. Now, let's not mention, nobody's even going out there and say discrimination. If you build the house and I can afford to buy it, I'm not going to be able to buy it because I'm not a Muslim.
Wow. And Sharia law, right?
Exactly. It's literally,
which is contradictory to the Constitution of the like 100% contradictory to the Constitution of the United States of America.
But they're using it.
They can't coexist, right? So and again, if it is Sharia law and police have no jurisdiction, which they'll try for, then what do you have? You have the normalization of the trading of human beings, child slavery, pedophilia, the things that Annie experienced in Iran as a child, now exported to the United States of America and supported by conservative Republicans in red state Texas, including the President of the United States of America, which is the antithesis of the mandate that he was given, especially by conservative right-wing Christian commentators. And so, Annie, your voice is very important. And I'm glad that we had this opportunity to kind of explain this to the audience, because it's something that is not discussed. I mean, Trump has kind of eliminated it from the platform, right? I mean, it's basically he'll make a deal with anyone. And if it's
yes, but let's look at it for a second. His first term, he got accused of being Islamophobe. He got accused of being anti-Muslim. He had the Muslim ban, which had nothing to do with Muslims anyways. That's besides the point. But then somehow this time around, the moment he gets 6 or 7 imams from Michigan and Minnesota and Maine and I believe Washington endorsing him, showing up to his campaigns and rallies and saying, we're behind you because you're this and that, suddenly his entire attitude changes. Yeah. I was expecting for Muslim ban 2.0 to come out. No, it's not happening. Okay, great. Then I was expecting for him to keep his promise where he said, I will support the people of Iran by not entertaining any negotiation with this regime that's oppressing them. Right. Guess what we just did? On Saturday, we had our 4th round of negotiations with Iran. Oops. And yesterday he comes out and says Iran's government, now by the way, I love the fact that his tone has also changed from the mullah's regime to Iran's government. The very regime that he stood on one of his last rallies before elections saying, if the mullah's regime tried to assassinate me again, I'm going to create problem for him. That very regime is now Iran's government. Oh my goodness gracious. How a narrative can go from one side to the other side of the aisle. But he comes out yesterday saying the government of Iran knows I'm serious, therefore they're behaving and they have been very rational so far in negotiations. Excuse me? Did you just use the word rational in a regime that kills its own innocent people every morning at 5 a.m. publicly hanging them in the same sentence? Tell me this is not about his ego. He wants to go down in history as the first president with 8 years of no Middle East war. That's all there is to it. He wants to make sure to stop any wars from taking place in Middle East for the second term because he managed it on the first one. He doesn't care which part of history he's erasing or rewriting or which group of people he's going to put down or who's going to get killed in middle of this process of enabling the very regime that has had a bounty on his head since he ordered the killing of Qasem Soleimani. Like, let that sink in for a minute.
I mean, yeah, it's concerning. It's disturbing, and it's making the world a less safe place as he enables once again. And this is again a hallmark of the Trump presidency. Enabling dictators, tyrants, tyranny abroad, and importing it into the United States of America. And let's never forget that the worst tyranny, the worst military lockdown in this nation's history, the subjugation of the American people and the crushing of liberty happened under this president in 2020. The importing of tyranny and surveillance and control into this country. And I don't disagree. It is not a Trump thing. It is a Washington, D.C. thing. It is a Democrat, Republican thing. It is all of the people in power, again, abandoning all principle, all common sense, all reason, and especially the founding of our country and in our Constitution, in order to make deals for themselves and enrich themselves. And it's tragic, but we have people speaking out against it. And I appreciate you, Annie. I appreciate you for your story, for your survival, your grit, your willingness to speak up about things that people are afraid to speak up about, because they're afraid of being labeled Islamophobes or any type of phobe. And of course, I appreciate you for the help that you provide every day with the show. You're extraordinary, and people can find all of your work at your Substack and also Live Up to Freedom. But before we let you go, can you please tell people where they can go to access all of your shows and your commentary and your writing, and also support you?
Absolutely. Let me just add one sentence to what you said before I give that information.
Yeah.
I think you're right. This is not a Trump thing. This is a Washington, D.C. thing. But bottom line is, this is American people being lazy bosses and not holding those who are supposed to work for us accountable.
True. Yeah.
We are the only country, the only constitution that allows the people, we the people, to petition our government to fire our government. Guess what? We haven't done that in a long time. We're so busy fighting each other over red and blue that we don't even know. Half of this country vote every 4 years without knowing a single policy their candidate is bringing to the table, even as a fake lie.
I know, right? Right.
They
know.
can't name two policies every election, midterm or not. You ask them, okay, so you're voting for such and such person. Name your top two favorite policy of them. And they're like, border immigration. Oh, really? So where do they stand? In a good place.
Right.
So let's face it. We are the reason our country is going where it's going. Unless we step up, take responsibility for the blessing of this Constitution, nothing's going to change.
It's true. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. It's why we advocate every day. Like, bottom up, you got to do something. You got to get involved. Emancipate from the two-party political paradigm. It's a complete fallacy. It is totally false. And they're working together to subjugate us.
Yes,
they
ma'am.
want everything. They want everything. And if we're not careful, we can end up like Iran. We can end up like some of these third world countries with tyrannical dictators. We are on our path. We are on that path as I speak to you today. And so we need a minority. It's actually not even that many. If we had 10% of the American people like fully engaged, fully emancipated, and working together, then we could overthrow the tyrants. We could clean out Washington, D.C. We could devolve power back to the states and local governments. We can reestablish our Constitution and our Declaration of Independence, and we can be free if we want it.
Again.
And I know that you want it. And I know that this audience wants it as well. Annie, thank you so much.
Of course. And to answer your very last question, liveuptofreedom.com is where you can pretty much find my art store, my videos, most of my radio that I barely do now, or any affiliates. Substack, the same thing. Just look up at Live Up to Freedom on Substack and you'll find all of my Substacks there.
And buy her art as well. Annie's also an amazing, among other things, an amazing artist as well. So she has a lot of beautiful pieces up for sale. That helps to support Annie as well. In fact, she would like to do art full time. So let's get that going. But you cannot let the Shannon Joy Show go, though. If you do art full time, you got to keep us, because I mean, what would we do without Annie, right?
Let's do this. Head over to lutfstudio.com. There's no S at the end. There's just one studio. lutfstudio.com. Use promo code JOY, JOY 20. You get 20% off. And I can continue doing art, and then I can continue helping Shannon not do the stuff she used to do, where you enjoyed it for a minute, but then she was frustrated. And I code. You gave me my brain back because I always operated on half of it, trying to click things and
It's
not
so
mute
true.
myself.
It's so true. Like, I have my brain back. It's amazing. So let's keep that going. Annie Cyrus, thank you so much for giving us your time today. It was a real treat and inspiring and amazing. And guys, if Annie could do it, I mean, everything that she's gone through, how possibly can we gripe about this or complain about that or say, oh, I don't have time to go to the board meeting or to help the school board candidate who shares my values become elected. I don't have a spare $10 or $20 to donate to a campaign or get involved. I don't have 5-10 hours a week to donate at certain times to civics and to being independent. Like, come on. If Annie could do it and survive and thrive with her background and her story, then every American could do it and should do it, right? Because we still have this blessing of freedom. So inspiring. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, Shannon.
You're the best. Thank you guys for being with us today in the Shannon Joy Show. Tomorrow, we're going to bring in Jeff Dornick. He is a favorite of the Shannon Joy Show. In fact, one of the guys standing up for freedom today with an amazing platform, Pickaxe. We're going to be talking about the Maha Wars and also the economy with Jeff Dornick. He's also a business person and an entrepreneur. A lot of crazy things going on. We can't wait to hear from him tomorrow right here on the Shannon Joy Show.